All right, I thought I'd take a look at this one today. This is a Navy Arms 36 caliber. What did they call this? The Reb revolver. Reb Confederate revolver. There it is. Model of 1862, they call it. Now, this is essentially, it's made by Uberti, as you can see there, buddy. Uberti symbol. Essentially, it's a Griswold and Gunnison. You know, brass frame revolver, Civil War era. It's not an exact copy, but it's pretty close. Got the round barrel. It has, no scene engraved on the cylinder, no flutes, nothing like that. And of course, the brass frame. Real Griswolds have a bit more of a reddish color to the brass. That was due to the lack of, I believe it was zinc in Confederate hands at the time, or maybe it was copper. I don't know, one or the other. This particular one was made in 1973. And you can see if I can get it to focus. You see Navy Arms on there? Navy Arms Company. Navy Arms Company pretty much kick-started this entire movement of replica manufacture in Italy and other places, starting in 1956, and they're still at it today. I don't know if they're still importing any of these because there's so many other companies that do it. Uberti obviously is still in business. They are currently owned by Beretta. Pieta still around. I don't think Euro Arms is, although they could be. I haven't kept track. Really nicely made. Not a big surprise coming from Uberti. And really, I don't believe this was really ever fired too much. There's no real. It shows, there's a ring on the cylinder from people playing with it, whatever. But I don't think it was really used. That was pretty common with these, actually. People get these as gifts, so they buy them on a kind of an impulse buy, and, because they saw a movie or whatever, and they really don't use it because they find out that black powder shooting is actually work, until you get used to it. There is a similar revolver called the Reb revolver that Pieta still manufactures today. Possibly Uberti makes a version of it, too. That's not based on the Griswold and Gunnison. It's, they call it the 1851 Navy 44, a pistol that never actually existed during the era, but probably should have, given its popularity today. It's essentially an 1860 Army in the configuration of an 1851 Navy pistol. It doesn't have the nice, the contoured barrel, all of that stuff that the 60 Army does. Kind of looks like this with a hexagonal barrel. 36 caliber in this case, which is correct for the Griswold, or at least close to it. Black powder only, of course. Don't try to shoot smokeless in these. This has the distinction of being the very last firearm I found at a flea market out in the wild in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area. After 35 years of buying all kinds of stuff at flea markets and stuff, all of a sudden it became illegal. Nobody wanted to do it. Flea markets got serious and tough about the restrictions. Other states, you can still pick stuff like this up anywhere, but here in New York, not so much. This was the last one. I got it for $125 from a flea market seller over in New Milford, Connecticut. And I just thought it was cool. And it hadn't been shot loose or anything like that, and I wasn't seeing anything else that particular day to kind of attract my attention. So I figured, why not? Grab it while the grabbing's good. Doesn't seem like anything else. You see where they kind of scored it up a little bit, but it's not overly horrible. Oops, let's line that back up. Don't want to do that. By the muzzle, there's no rust up there, anything like that. And this is not one of the kit guns. You could buy these in kits then and now and finish them yourselves, but this has a factory finish on it that's kind of unmistakable. You can see the case hardening on the lever, the loading lever there, and deep bluing on the barrel and the cylinder, the nicely finished wood. And the brass is all smoothed out, nicely done. You can crisp markings, things like that. I think everybody at some time or another probably had one of those kit guns. I did. I built my own many, many years ago, and I bought it from Service Merchandise. Everybody remember that chain? Service Merchandise. I think I got it in 1982 or 3. When I was first getting into black powder. And the number of different replica revolvers you can get is pretty dizzying. I'd be here all day if I tried to list them all. There's so many, from flinters to revolvers like this, even early cartridge firearms, cartridge conversion guns, are out there and available now. Take a look at the markings there. That is an XX9, which translates to produced by Uberti in 1973. You can get that information online. It's available. Just look up Uberti or black powder revolver date codes and all of that. Because Navy Arms did not date these. Like that. They just imported them. They didn't build them at all. They imported them. And they put their name on them. Navy Arms Company, Springfield, New Jersey, made in Italy. They're a lot of fun. Collecting them is fun. Now, being that this is exactly 50 years old today, not today specifically, but this year, this is collectible in its own right. This is an antique in its own right. So there are people collecting them to shoot them, and also collecting them because they're collectible, because they like to build a Navy Arms collection, that kind of thing, or maybe even reenactors. I actually do have another one of these I acquired many years before this, that I got from a Confederate reenactor. Same thing. It's pretty much identical 36 caliber Navy Arms, all of that. Griswold and Gunnison copy. Why Navy Arms simply did not call this the Griswold and Gunnison, I don't know. Maybe somebody else was calling it that and they didn't want to confuse the issue. I have no idea what they mean by model of 1862. I don't believe that designation was ever used back in the day. It even came with this nice vintage holster. This is Buckheimer. It's a Buckheimer holster. Really good shape. That fits other revolvers as well, not just this one. I figured take a look at it. And if you happen to see one in the wild, what you got to look out for with these, if they actually have been used a lot, especially with heavy charges, is make sure it's not shooting. Make sure it's timed nicely. It's not starting to shoot loose and rattly and everything else, because it will. They will over time do that. Unfortunately, this one, the hammer, the hand, or whatever, the stop is dragging on the cylinder a little bit. That's not uncommon with revolvers. You get a little scrape mark there like that. A good gunsmith could clean that up and time it a little better. But, they were selling these things kind of cheap back in the day, as they are today, really. And there's a limit to how far they're going to go in truing up the action in there. Good enough was good enough. If you wanted to spend $1,000 on a revolver, you're going to get, just smooth, action and everything perfect. You're not going to get that here most of the time. But that's a minor concern. These, like I said, not big money, not original. You can see the brass is taking on a nice tone now as it ages. Yeah, I just happened to be digging around in the closet and I pulled this out. I forgot all about this. Griswold and Gunnison, or if you prefer, the model 1862 Reb Confederate caliber 36 revolver.